going on, everyone? Welcome on in to Coffee with Brodes. I weirdly, well, first off, happy Monday, everybody, right? Cheers to the coffee. It's going to be another amazing week. I guess where we begin, though, is UFC 261. UFC 261 was absolutely amazing. Like, I honestly believe that, man, that was fucking solid. It was solid, and I really did enjoy it. So, yeah, I mean, I kind of want to start with UFC 261, but first, what's up, everyone? What's going on? I see the chat. Aren't the Flyers a treat? The Flyers are not a thing anymore. I didn't know that people still watch the Flyers. The Flyers are not a thing anymore at all. Like, they're not even relevant. I don't even put them on my television. Last night, I actually watched the extended highlights in bed on my iPad just to see, because I know Claude Giroux scored 2 late goals and all, and he gets his 850th, and Giroux is a beauty, and I love G, so I kind of watched the extended highlights, but there's no way I'm watching 4 straight games against the New Jersey Devils. There's just no way in hell. I want everyone to take a sip with me as I take a sip this morning of my Wawa hazelnut coffee. I can see it. I can taste it. I can smell it. I can hear it. I can talk to it. And I'm going to admire it. Admire it with me, everybody. Monday morning, cup of Joe. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. And yeah, so UFC 261, Usman with just a beautiful crack to the jaw on Masvidal. And it was just amazing. It's crazy, though, because I honestly thought that the way Usman was throwing his strikes didn't it kind of look out of character, out of whack. Sometimes he was leaning too far over afterwards. It looked very unorthodox. You thought maybe Masvidal has a chance to clock him at one point. I really thought that was the case. I thought he had a chance. I figured this would get heavy in the Phillies. I could see why the frustration is there for sure. But Andrew McCutchen's not a leadoff guy. Nick Maton. I mean, I don't know how you can just throw Nick Maton in there. He's better Dodgers, Padres. All right, so I guess we're not going UFC 261. You got to give the people what they want. I'm not here to go against the people. But come on, no one's watching UFC 261? Am I like, what? When's Gene Segura coming back? I get the frustration here. I do. Nobody knows when Gene Segura is coming back. Is Bryce Harper MVP? It's way too early in the season, but he's putting up MVP level numbers. He's playing at an MVP level. He's definitely putting up those numbers. 2 home runs, the assists in the defense. I'm excited for the Eagles on Thursday. Okay, here we go. We got a little UFC in here. Wow, so you didn't watch any of the other fights? You didn't watch Thug Rose? You didn't watch the other fights just because of that? I agree, though, that was one of, like, I almost threw up. Like, I literally almost threw up with that leg injury, and that's normally, not, I could handle that stuff. I could handle all sorts of, like, those type of injuries. Wait, it wasn't so much the kick that broke his leg. It's when he stepped back to land on his leg that when it oh, man, that was just gross. That was gross. I actually just saw something on, I guess his wife put something up on Instagram that he's doing well. But yeah, that's where it lost me. It wasn't so much the break in the leg when he made the kick, which even that was still gross, and you can see how quickly that knee leg responded. But man, when he went back to step down, and the fact that you got 2 of those, even the first fight, although that was different. It was, what was it? Oh, it was the Anthony Smith fight. It was the kick to the back of the leg where there was like a stinger involved. But you can see when he tried to step, it was wonky and it was like wobbly. Now, they were questioning if it was a nerve or actually some structural damage involved in terms of like the actual knee. But I heard Dana White afterwards. I went full press conference mode. I went full UFC 261 after show. I thought that was like, I thought that was a hell of an event, man. Just an insanely entertaining event. Obviously, you had the disgusting parts, but yeah, it was great. For Thug Rose to do what she did, a leg kick to the face. Come on, man. I mean, to start the thing off, just bang, bang, leg kick right to the face. Amazing. Do I normally watch UFC? So I've been watching UFC since UFC 251. I'm going to verify that that was the date. Yes, it was Masvidal Usman. It was July 11th in Abu Dhabi. That was the first one I watched. Now, I watched like any McGregor fights. I think 250 was McGregor versus Cowboy, right? Or no, I guess I was 249. Was it 249? 248? Which one was it? No, Ferguson and Gaethje was 249. I didn't watch that one though. Oh, that wasn't either. That was Adesanya. Which one was Cowboy? Like I watched when it was McGregor and whatnot. Damn, I'm way off. I'm absolutely way off on which one McGregor was. There it was. Yeah, yeah, yeah. 256 or 246, excuse me. I tuned into any McGregor one just because I was like watching with a bunch of my buddies and whatnot, but I didn't watch it like full main card and whatnot. Now I'm full throttle. I got UFC fight night and I'm making sure I'm watching all the old fights. I went back and watched Usman Covington, their first match, the night of 261 afterwards, because I wanted to see it. And I can't wait to watch Covington. Covington's a clown to me. I respect that he went 2 rounds with a broken jaw. He broke his jaw around round 3 with Usman, and now he went out for 2 more and took more cracks to the jaw. So I admire that, but I hope he gets his jaw cracked again. I can't wait for that fight. I think there's something to it, but it's going to be fun to see them get a rematch. Now, by the way, to answer the question, do I normally watch UFC? Now I'm full throttle. Now I understand the fighters, who they are, who they fought, their most recent fights. Now I know the storylines more for me to be able to actually understand the sport more, and I'm just growing in terms of like knowledge of the game. So I do think that there's going to be maybe some UFC podcasts afterwards, after some of these events. Now that I'm 11 events in, I think I'm going to start to actually break. I don't know if it'll necessarily be the next upcoming one, but as I continue to watch and grow as a UFCsman, I will definitely bring into the not post game, the post UFC, but a pay-per-view. See, the thing is, like, I'm not in on every fight night card. I'm not in on all of these little ones on Saturday. I gotta go. The pay-per-view is what moves my needle the most, which makes sense, of course, but that's how it is for me right now. I remember that 251 card, though, had Max Holloway on it. He got robbed. He got robbed in decision. Good stuff. Yeah, but isn't that everybody? I mean, Conor McGregor's an act. Usman's an act. Masvidal is an act. They're all acts. That's what you do. I mean, that's part of this. That's part of what you do as a UFC guy. You have to promote yourself. You got to be an asshole. You got to be a douchebag. And then people want to see the fights. For example, what happened with the last McGregor fight? I mean, McGregor wasn't a douche. He wasn't an ass. He had too much respect for his opponent in Poirier. And what ended up happening? You lose that edge. You lose that attitude, and you just have respect for a guy. You get clowned, and you get clocked in the face, and you get knocked down. Do I ever watch WWE? No, I'm not a WWE person. I used to be back in the day. Rey Mysterio, Booker T, John Cena. Even back with like The Rock and in those days of Stone Cold. I watched it then. Not so much now, though. I mean, they're all acts for the most part. It's all about that's part of the job. Part of the job is being a promoter. If you don't promote your fights at this high level of intensity, well, then, yeah, I mean, there's some guys, but guess what? You don't talk about those guys like you do some of the others. And that's not everybody, but. Chris Sheehan comes in with $2. Phillies stink, but hey, Maytown might be a key player. Yeah, the Phillies, I thought that yesterday was just a disgrace. Losing 12-2 to the Colorado Rockies to fall in a series, that's just absolutely pathetic. If you won the first 2 games and then fell that way, I'd still be disappointed. But for it to be to that level and for you to drop that series on the road, I'm just so disgusted. And the fact that you have a situation where you're blaming Joe Girardi. I saw a Twitter poll that like 70% of people are extremely disappointed in Joe Girardi, as if it's his fault. And I asked this question: if you have this team with a different manager, are you 10-11? Because the answer to me is yes. You are 10-11. No doubt about it. You're 10-11. So Joe Girardi isn't the problem. He hasn't been the smoothest. He hasn't been the best. I'm not going to tell you he's been great, but I went through the problems here, right? Here's your problems. Center field position. Your 4 and 5 position. So really it's Mickey Moniak, Roman Quinn, Chase Anderson, Matt Moore. Your offense, your defense, your bullpen pieces. That's 7 things. 7 before I get to Joe Girardi. Joe Girardi would be 8. Now tell me how that makes sense. It's ridiculous. Time to sit Kutch. Yeah, I'm at that point. This is terrible. I've given him the benefit of the doubt. I've given him plenty of opportunities to work out of this little funk and this little jam that he's in. Now we're getting to the level where he can't even catch a baseball. Now we're getting to the level where my man doesn't even know how to keep a ball in front of him, and it's going all the way to the back of the wall. Now Andrew McCutchen's getting into that territory of, dude, we can't play you. You don't even deserve the chance to get out of this funk. We've given you that chance, and it's been a complete disaster. You need to be better. What do they do with Maton? They got to play. Maton reminds you of Adam Hazley. No way. I hope not. If Maton's Adam Hazley, you're in trouble. No, Maton does not remind me of Adam Hazley. Adam Hazley is not very good. Adam Hazley's not very good, so I really hope not. I think he plays center field. I think he has to play center field. That's the only way you can put him. When Gene Segura comes back, you have to play him at center field. Didi's got to be better defensively. See, this is what I can't agree with. Kutch is washed. Like, the guy can't even catch a bait. You're telling me at 34, Andrew McCutchen from last year to this year can't catch a baseball in left field anymore? Like, I'm not buying that. I'm not buying that he can't keep a baseball in front of him. There's no way that Andrew McCutchen is that pathetic, that disgusting, that awful, that Andrew McCutchen can't even catch a ball that already hit his mitt when he squeezes it. There's no way he's this atrocious. So he's got to dig deeper. He's got to be better. He needs to be stronger. Andrew McCutchen is not this terrible. He's not this washed. There's no way he's 150 bad. He's not 150 washed. He's not I can't catch a baseball washed. He's just not. So there's more in him. There is. It's a lack of focus. I don't know what it is. Well, yeah, obviously he's not going to be here next year. There's 0% chance that Andrew McCutchen's here next year. Everyone knows about where he is with this contract and how heavily overpaid he was and how much Matt Klentak decided to pay this man in a market that wasn't even that much. So, that is what's going to happen. It's inevitable. If anything, I wish it could have happened now. It could happen earlier. That's the problem. We wish it could have already, happened last year, and last year been the last season of Andrew McCutchen. It's surprising that we even have promising players. What do you mean by that? What do you mean I want you to expand a little bit. It's surprising that we even have promising players. What exactly does that mean that we have that? What exactly does that mean? Shout out, Claude. I agree with you. I barely tune into anything of that game. I'll just be 100% honest. I am out on the Flyers. They are really unwatchable. And normally when I say that, I still put them on my TV as background noise. The last 2 games, I did not even put them on as background noise. I just went back and watched the extended 10-minute condensed game last night on my iPad. But shout out, Claude. That was amazing for sure. Do I think Odubel not being back is actually – no, it's not baseball related. We have center fielders hitting less than 100. I mean, it's absolutely 100% not baseball related. That's clear, and it's been clear for a few weeks. There's no way in hell since 1974. We talk about historic problems with this franchise. Last year was the bullpen. This year, since 1974, there's only been one team through 21 games that have worse center field play than the Philadelphia Phillies at the plate, hitting 101, and that's the 2001 Chicago Cubs. So it is not baseball related, all right? I mean, that's pretty clear. It is not. because they keep saying he's not ready, which is understandable because he hasn't played in years. No, it's not understandable. They're lying to you. They're just making a statement because with the union, it technically can't be anything but a baseball reason why he's not up here. So they're saying that. They're saying that. Can we get rid of Chase Anderson and David Hale? No. No, you cannot. I don't know what you think you can just do with these people, but no, you cannot. That's the issue. Harper probably wishes he had a trade clause. Yeah, there is a little bit of me that thinks, what is Bryce Harper thinking? And I question, is he thinking with his wife, what do we do? What did we sign? Why did we sign here? Why didn't we go to LA? Why didn't we go to these teams that actually know what they're doing? Why did we come to the Philadelphia Phillies? He got brainwashed. He got brainwashed by the owner and John Middleton when the planes went to Vegas and they had dinner and they just met as people and didn't talk baseball, this and that. He got sucked in. He got sucked into John Middleton. But to be fair, we get sucked in every fucking year, so I guess we're to blame too. Every single year, we think we're better than what we actually are, and we get sucked into the product that John Middleton sells to us. So to a degree, aren't we in the same problem? Aren't we in the same problem? Hey, just call me Flair with the $5. The Sixers got me feeling nervous, Brodes. We got to finish strong before I can feel comfortable. It's Ben and Joel. We're out, but damn. Also, I love you. Well, I always said I know Ben and Joel were out, but damn. Also, I love you. Thank you. Just call me Flair for the $5. Yeah, I mean, this is a brutal stretch for sure, but you don't have your guys. And I thought John Johnson brought up an interesting point today. He tweeted this out. And it's not crazy to see. I've kind of been mentioning it now for a couple of podcasts, couple of post-game shows, but Ben Simmons has already been ruled out for this game against the OKC Thunder, right? And John Johnson tweeted out, if Ben Simmons was ruled out with the flu 48 hours before missing his 5th consecutive game, I'm inclined to thinking there might be something more to it. And I'm kind of in a spot where I don't know where we should be here as a fan base. We know that things are happening behind the scenes, and we know that this is very uncharacteristic or very odd or very different, very unique circumstance here that this man is just missing all these games with the flu. So do we just let it go? Or what? Do we just let this slide? Or do we keep asking questions? Because we know how serious the problem is, family oriented. So do we just say, hey, we kind of know something's going on? Or do we demand that we get more out of this? Do we demand that we get a better message? Because you're talking about a team that's trying to fight for the number 1 seed, and you talk about how much you really need it, how much you really want it, and now one of your best players isn't playing for 5 games with a sickness. So where do we draw this line in terms of how you feel? I guess it's just crazy to me a little bit that, it's to this level, though, of just not playing and not knowing anything and not knowing what's going on. Number 1 seed is much more important. Okay, so Tanner. Okay, Tanner, this is the question I asked. Because I had Paul Hudrick on the Fanatic with me yesterday, right? And it's almost as if, how do you value this? Do you go all out full throttle to get that number 1 seed at the expense of damaging your players and not having them healthy and playing Joel Embiid through this shoulder injury? Or do you look at it as, I need my guys healthy. Without Joel Embiid, we're doomed anyway. So why put all this pressure on his shoulder? Why put all this stress on him physically? If we do that and we get the number 1 seed, we're screwed anyway. So you got to find that balance. You can't go full throttle to try and get that 1 seed if that means you now aren't going to have your players that you're going to need with that 1 seed. And that's the problem I have. You're kind of in a tough spot. You're in a really tough pickle. How do you balance that? It's not easy, and you really can't find a mix. I think they're trying to find a mix, and it's tough. Well, yeah, I understand how it lines up, but you got to put it in perspective here of having your players. Yes, the second round would be different. You would be facing probably the Knicks compared to facing the Milwaukee Bucks, which is an extreme different scenario. I also don't know, though, if you put Joel Embiid out there to the point where he is 70%, let's say he's 70% in the playoffs because you do everything to get that 1 seed, compared to letting him rest, letting him get better, and he's closer to 88% in that 2nd seed. What if that's the case? Right now, they are 1.5 games back from the Brooklyn Nets, who Kevin Durant. Every time I watch Kevin Durant play, it reminds me that this team is missing something. I love Joel Embiid, and obviously he's an MVP player this year, and he's amazing, and you can win with him on any given night, but it's still Kevin Durant. And when you watch him play, whether it's coming off the bench or whatnot, whenever he misses games and he returns, it's like, yeah, that's NBA championship. That's an NBA championship level caliber player right now. And I mean, that's no knock and no disrespect on Joel Embiid. I think if you look at the age of Kevin Durant, which I don't even know where he is at, is it 31 maybe? Okay, he's 32 years old. There's just a different element of winning basketball that he has that Joel doesn't have yet. And he'll have that. There's no doubt that Joel will get that at some point as he gets older, maybe 29, 30, 31 years old. But when you watch Kevin Durant, that is, hey, I'm an NBA champion, right? That is, I'm an NBA superstar. And that's what I still think that this team, while you do have that in Joel Embiid, it's elevated. It's elevated when you win a championship already. It's elevated when you've been through the grind. So, just crazy. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, Tanner, he's not going to be 100% healthy no matter what. 100% healthy is not in play at this point for any of these guys. So it's not so much about being 100%. It's just limiting the damage. 70% in 1 seed or 88% and 2 seed. What one would you rather have if you're looking at Joel Embiid's health, right? Yeah, I'm with you, Evan. It's crazy. He just comes off the bench, 28 minutes, bang, let me drop 33. Let me put up 30 plus. I heard him after the game. I thought it was a very interesting perspective. He kind of told coach, I want to come off the bench because he thinks that he's a little bit focused differently. He's wired differently coming off the bench. It would play with his mental toughness. I got to be more prepared. I got to be more engaged. It's more about the way that he approaches the game coming off the bench compared to when he's starting, and it's clear that he's dialed in differently and he just plays the game differently when he's coming off the bench. It's a scary sight, man. It's a crazy sight. Mr. 89 comes back in with some UFC talk. UFC 261 was one of the best ones in recent memory. The Usman punch to Masvidal was a punch you see in the fighting movies. Also, Thug Rose. Yeah, Thug Rose was amazing. To see her cry and her raw, natural reaction when they were putting the belt on her, she was almost in shock, right? I can't believe this happened. I can't believe I did it again. I can't believe I went and got my belt. I mean, it was just an amazing show. And the way that she did it, I want to see that rematch right away. And I think I even heard Dana White somewhat allude to it as the fight next would kind of be a rematch between the two. And I'm all here for it. I think that, it played out in such a crazy way. We want to see that again. We want to see those two get back at it. I think a rematch would be phenomenal. In terms of what Masvidal received, man, that was clean as hell. That was just pure clean, right to the jaw. That shut that down, right? I wonder because we all saw that Usman was adding striking to his game, right? You saw that he was adding that layer of punching, and sometimes I think he allowed himself to be available. And we know we keep hearing it. He changed teams. He's adding to his game. He's only getting stronger and stronger, and he's still climbing that ladder. Usman is very vocal about that. I did think that he was acceptable to some punches, though, that I wonder if he gets into the octagon with Covington next. And I know Usman's going to work on that. He's going to go back to the tape. He's going to focus on all those flaws. But if you see some of his striking, I think he left himself available for a clean punch. And I just wonder if Covington is going to pounce on one of those opportunities in the future fight. So I do think that that's in play, I do think that is in play. I think the Eagles will make some more moves, move further down? I don't think so. I think they're going to select who they want to select with that number 2 or number 12, excuse me, not number 2. That would be lovely, but the number 12 overall pick. What's the matter with Ben? All we know is he has an illness. That's all we're being informed. And I'm not here to really speculate too deep into things, but I can imagine if you're going to miss 5 consecutive games with a flu when you're fighting for the number 1 seed and you know it's very important that there's something else going on. Now Connor wants a piece of Usman. Is he really coming out and saying that, or are you just saying that in general? Conor McGregor is nowhere even close to I mean he's that wouldn't even make sense. That wouldn't even make sense. That doesn't even make any sort of sense. Conor McGregor isn't even in play for he just got his ass kicked by Poirier. And he's going to have to fight. That's the thing that I was listening to when it comes down to what's next for Masvidal. A nice fight with Conor McGregor, maybe, and because that'll still get ratings. You're not out. You're not out of the count. Oh, Conor McGregor's going. I got to go check this out. Like here, you could fight if Conor McGregor was to fight a Masvidal. If he was to fight Masvidal was to fight a Diaz. If you were going to get those type of fights, this is what I was just hearing from, because now I'm starting to get into some UFC podcasts and whatnot. That's kind of what's being discussed as maybe what's next for Masvidal, because it would still move the needle. People would want to get it. All right, where are we here with Usman? I guess he's tweeted so much in the last few days. Oh, he quote tweeted Usman yesterday. Relax, you big spotty. I guess you're just calling him names. You were ringside last time I fought at 170. 40 seconds is all it took. Why did you reschedule Burns' fight? What was the reason? That was never given to the public. Why that already signed fight was then rescheduled? I guess he was going after Usman. Interesting. Is WWE a sport? No, it's fake. It's all scripted stuff. Of course it's not a fight. Would I consider UFC one of the big 4 sports? No, I still think it's baseball, hockey, football, and basketball as the top 4, but I think it's insanely grown and has hit a new level and has hit a new peak for sure. But no, I don't think it takes over hockey and those. No, it's still a niche thing. It's sort of like hockey. It has its own community. It has its own fan base. The difference and hockey is actually huge globally. It's huge in Sweden, in Finland, in Canada, in Germany, in Russia. I mean, it's monstrous worldwide. It's actually, I think, very limited to a degree in the U.S. compared to maybe some of the others, believe it or not. But no, I still would put the 4 majors over UFC, but that doesn't discredit where the UFC has gone and the fact that they're so global as well because of their stars, because of Habib, because of all these guys that can crack into those markets, Brazil, things of that nature. I mean, it's up there with those. I'm not making it seem like there's a monstrous drop off by any stretch of the imagination. It is in the conversation with those, but it's still somewhat of a niche sport for sure. Series prediction versus the Cards, not good. I mean, how am I supposed to think positive about this team that can't win anything on the road? This team can't win a road series. So am I supposed to really think anything good? 2-2? They're going to go 2-2 is what they're going to do. I really don't think I can't see anything good happening in this series. I really can't. Are they going to turn it around? Does anyone really feel good that they're going to turn it around? I don't know, because who pitched yesterday? Chase Anderson. I need to see what the full lineup is for the series. So today's game is Zach Wheeler versus Wainwright. Tomorrow's game is Zach Eflin versus Martinez. The 28th will be Matt Moore. Ew, that's just disgusting, and I want to throw up in my mouth. And Thursday is Nola. So you have Nola, Wheeler, and Eflin in this series. Nola, Wheeler, and Eflin in this series. You have on the mound an opportunity, advantage Phillies for sure. You have Matt Moore, which is an automatic loss written in there. But other than that, you got your top 3 dogs on the bump. Can you please do something? Can you please find a way? See, I don't think I would be extremely happy with the split. I can't be. I cannot be. If you won the series against the Rockies, then maybe it's like, all right, you split, whatever. But now you put yourself in such a shit position that I can't accept that. I just can't. And I'm sure that there's some that might think, like you, Evan, maybe it's the mindset of you've been so putrid on the road. You've been so embarrassing. As long as you don't lose this series, don't go 0-4, don't go 1-3. At least get 2 wins on the road in this series, and that's at least a step in the right direction. But I'm sorry, I can't accept that after the garbage we've seen. You got to show me some attitude. You got to show me some edge. You got to show me some fight. You're going up against a 500 baseball team on the other side. The St. Louis Cardinals are not some solid team. Like make a damn statement, will you? They're not a very good team. You have an opportunity with your 3 top dogs on the bump to go out there and make some sort of statement and bounce back. Get us back sucked in, right? Suck us back in. Go 3-1. Imagine going 3-1. All right, here we go. You picked it up. Get this fan base going again. You know that the fan base is out and down, and now we're questioning the manager. I'm not. Morons are. But there's a lot of people questioning the manager and saying that this guy needs to be canned already. Take some pride, right? Hold yourself accountable. Think about how poor you're playing to the point where Joe Girardi in year 2 is already getting to the point where the Phillies fans want to run him out of town. That's more of a problem with this fan base more than it is reality. But still, you know it's there. Go win a series. Go take 3 out of 4. Do something about it. Will you? Do something about it. Of course I saw that that's not a no-hitter. To think that a 7-inning no-hitter is a no-hitter is laughable. Think about how many no-nos got broken up in the 8th and the 9th. If baseball is going to keep these 7-inning doubleheaders, which is an embarrassing thing in its own way, you need to have its own statistic then. 7-inning doubleheaders. 7-inning no-hitters. The problem is, like Madison Bumgarner, right? He might have just lost his only chance of getting a no-hitter because the game just ended. I think if you are a pitcher, the way it should go is if there's a no-hitter and a doubleheader through 7, the problem is you manage your game knowing it's going to be a 7-inning game. So I guess this won't work because it will impact earlier decisions in the game, not knowing what's going to happen. Because I was going to say, if you are at 7 innings and there's a no-hitter going in a doubleheader, you play to 9. You play to 9 and you allow that pitcher to earn that. And if he allows the no-no to happen in the 8th, then it's not like the game just ends. You play the 9 and then you move on to the next one. But it will make so many decisions. You make your decisions based off of how long the game is. If it's a 7-inning game, you could pull the pitcher at the 5th and you battle and you go to your bullpen at the 5th. It's different than if you're playing 9 innings. So it changes all the managerial decisions, which won't make that make sense. It's just unfortunate, though. I'm thinking if I'm Madison Bumgarner, and who knows, that could have been the game where he actually got his no-hitter. But because baseball is stupid and baseball thinks it's a great idea to play 7-inning games when they play 9-inning games every single day, it just ruined his chance to actually finish the job, which is crazy. Runner on second is so bad. Oh, I know. I agree. Like that Dodgers-Padres series, the fact that that's what we watched yesterday in those extra innings, stop it. These guys have had a slugfest all series long, and now we're just going to plop guys on second base. I don't understand, Did you see that Crosby averages a point per game for 16 straight seasons? Wow. I knew, obviously, I knew Sidney Crosby is good, and that's why he's my favorite player ever to live. Sidney Crosby is seriously my favorite player to ever live. And, you say that, and I feel like I haven't really, that has never registered in my brain. So last year in 41 games, 47 points. The year before, 79 games, 100 points, 82, 89, 75, 89, 80, 85. Wow. He's got 1,300 points, 1,319 points in 1,032 games. Crazy. MLB is greater than the NBA this year. Now, why do you say that? Why do you say that, Jude? I want you to expand on that. I think that there's one series in particular that has been incredible, but I don't know if all of baseball, and I love baseball, and I'm in that mode where I'm watching 3 baseball games every single night on my TV in my man cave setup. So Is it just, I think right now you're being brainwashed because the last few weeks has been a little bit of a dumpster fire for the NBA with their players because there are a lot of guys are injured and a lot of teams are waiting for the playoffs. So there's this kind of conversation of why are they sitting their guys? But, the NBA in general is, it's always been this way. The regular season is what it is. The NBA regular season has always been this, but the NBA playoffs is a different type of beast. The NBA product is bad. No, it's not. No, it's not. The NBA regular season has flaws for sure, specifically at the end of the regular season. The NBA product, though, the NBA playoff shits on everything. Besides the NFL, obviously, but the NBA playoffs is amazing. It's outstanding. It's magnificent. The last 2 weeks of the regular season is bad. Definitely. NBA has had countless injuries to superstars. Well, that's not the NBA's fault, right? I mean, to have injuries to players isn't their fault. If they're getting injured, they're getting injured. No fans makes it worse. Fans are starting to get back in there. Terrible officiating. I mean, have you been watching baseball? We've been bitching and complaining about every single player that gets screwed up at the dish. I think the umpiring has been horrendous in the MLB to this point. So I don't know if I can necessarily agree with what you're saying. You guys are trolling the NBA product is great. I can get behind this statement. The NBA has a regular season problem. Absolutely. Absolutely. Especially with the backstretch, last 2 weeks, getting ready for the playoffs. That is absolutely where you can say the NBA has an issue. But guess what? Once the NBA playoffs begin, you kind of forget about it. Once you hit that second round of playoffs and you're diving deep into the Eastern Conference Finals and you're seeing all of these games play out, then you forget about those final 2 weeks where the Brooklyn Nets sat a player against the Sixers in game 61. That doesn't matter to you anymore because you're watching the Sixers and the Milwaukee Bucks in round 2. So, yeah, there's way too many games, but here's the thing. Money. So we can complain all we want about there's too many games. The TV revenue matters. The players want to make their money. So, yeah, nobody's disagreeing with that. The reason why they make as much money as they do is because there's 82 games in a regular season. That's the problem. There's no doubt that there's too many games in all of sports. But when you generate the money and when you get the cash flow because of those broadcasts, because of those advertisements, because of those games, well, that's where it happens. Yeah, for sure. Playoffs in any sport is a whole different animal. Yeah, no doubt about it, but that's why I hate when people blow up my inbox about NBA regular season, especially in the middle of March Madness. What do you mean by that? I disagree that there's too many games. I like it too. I'm just saying in theory, here's the thing. You don't need 82 games to tell you what you need to know about a team, right? The reason why players sit and the players do load management and they're waiting for the regular season end is because there's too many games. In theory, you don't need 82 games to know who's the best teams are. We knew the Milwaukee Bucks, the Philadelphia Sixers, and the Brooklyn Nets. We knew all three of those teams were the best teams in the East. We knew that. How many games did it take you to see where the Utah Jazz and the Phoenix Suns were? At some point this season, maybe 55 games in, that was obvious. It was inevitable. You know where teams are. You know who they are by 55 games into the season for the most part. There's always an outlier. There's always this and that. But for the most part, you have a clue what teams are ready to compete for a championship, what teams are ready for that ride about 55 games in. So those extra 30 games at the end, you start sitting, you start waiting for playoffs. That's where the discussion of 82 is it's too much. Yeah, we've been talking about, especially in the NBA, we've been talking about the Sixers, the Nets, the Brooklyn Nets, or the Milwaukee Bucks since before the season even began, when the offseason was happening, you know? Rank the NFL, MLB, NBA, and NHL playoffs 1 through 4. It's so hard because there's not a gap, right? Like, I'll list these, but there's still not a gap involved. The gap is 0.00005. So I'll make my list, but it doesn't mean that there's really much separation. For me, I grew up hockey my whole life. There's nothing better to me than the Stanley Cup playoffs, right? So that's my number one. then it's NFL, then it's NBA, then it's MLB. But I love them all. I mean, I sit here and dissect Joey Wendell in the MLB in the World Series. You know, like people are not tuning in last year to watch the Dodgers play the Tampa Bay Rays. There's barely anyone that can name the Tampa Bay Rays lineup. G-Man Choi. It's like, who is this guy? Who's G-Man Choi? Who is Joey Wendell? Who is Randy Arozarena? We know that because we love baseball, but to the casual fan that's like, hey, let me casually tune into the MLB playoffs, they don't know a damn soul about these guys. They just don't. They don't know about the bullpen pieces, Yarbar, and they don't know about these pieces that come in and they're just Nick Anderson. They don't know who these bullpen pieces are, but I love it, you know? Joey Wendell, I love it, man. Yeah, I love Randy Arozarena too. It's crazy. Why is LeBron a joke, the Joe Show? You don't like LeBron James? Don't do this to me. Why is LeBron a joke? Unless if you're going political on me, I don't even want to hear it. If you're talking basketball, I'm here to talk basketball. If you're going down the political road, don't even respond to that question. Big fan, Brodes. Just ordered a microphone and got a brand new PC. What? I use StreamYard. I use StreamYard to do some live streaming stuff. What's up, MLB fan? What's happening, man? How am I today? I'm doing great. How are you? How are you? LeBron is the GOAT. I agree with you. LeBron is the GOAT. The NBA playoffs are super predictable when it comes to who's going to win the playoffs, but you can it is predictable for sure, but it doesn't take away from how great that is. It doesn't take away from how amazing. Like you're right. You're probably, but this year's a little different. I think this year it's somewhat more open. But there's plenty of times where you know it's going to be LeBron versus the Warriors. But that's when you have a 3-1 series upset happen and Draymond Green gets kicked out of the game. Like, don't act like there's no drama involved. You might be able to guess who's going to be in the finals. That doesn't discredit the road to get there, though. That doesn't discredit the ride to get there. For example, when like you thought, okay, the Lakers were going to win, right? Okay, the Lakers were going to win the championship. How about the Denver Nuggets coming down 3-1 to Kawhi Leonard and Paul George and Doc Rivers and the Clippers in the Western Conference Finals? That's still insanely entertaining. That's still amazing basketball. So, yeah, I agree with you. There is something to be said about knowing who's going to make it and whatnot for the most part. But there's still amazing storylines, amazing basketball, amazing moments. Damian Lillard hitting a three at the end of the buzzer to send teams home and celebrating with one of the most iconic pictures we've ever seen. That still matters to me, right? I mean, that still matters in my opinion. What would I give up for Trevor Story? A lot. A lot. I just don't know what you have. You don't have a lot, right? That's the problem. You don't have many pieces. You don't have intriguing pieces, and that's sort of where we have been left with this core in your AAA and in your AA and in your minor leagues. You know, we were told that Spencer Howard is some stud. I've been trying to tell you guys, Spencer Howard is not what we were told. I think he still deserves a chance. Like, that's how bad Matt Moore and Chase Anderson have been. I would absolutely give Spencer Howard a chance to start over those guys, but Spencer Howard gets raw. I mean, did you see Spencer Howard? He is what he is. He is what he is. This is Spencer Howard. You know, when you watch him pitch, this is what he is. And I'd still give him a chance to earn a role. I don't like the way that they're toying with him. He's a bullpen piece. He's not a bullpen piece. He's a starter. He's not a starter. He's on an inning restriction because of his arm, this and that. I don't like the way that they treat him. It's very foolish, in my opinion. But this is what Spencer Howard is. I've been trying to tell you guys that for a while. Abel, Stott, and Kingery for Marquez and Story. There's no way that you're getting those players for that. There's no way. Who wants Scott Kingery? Scott Kingery has no value at all. If I'm a team, right, and you're making a trade and Philadelphia calls you up and goes, hey, I'll give you Scott Kingery. I mean, Mick Abel is definitely an intriguing name. I don't know how much Bryson Stott pops in terms of like we're excited about Bryson Stott, but I wonder where he is in the overall prospects. Top 100 MLB prospects 2021. Like, I wonder where he is in the overall grand scheme of things. Pags with a $10 donation, baby. You're the man. Do you think Vigneault gets fired? No. No way. That would be silly. That's foolish. I don't even think it's a conversation. You have a situation where my man was praised for how great he was last season, and then this year he ends up falling. It was bad. This season was bad and things fell apart. But with Alain Vigneault's resume and everything he's been through, there's no way that AV gets fired. It would be very, 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 very silly. And keep in mind, Chuck Fletcher hired this guy, right? Chuck Fletcher is not going to admit after one bad season that it's time to blow up the coach that I hired. I just hired this guy. I don't see a situation where he like that. That's one of the reasons why Ron Hextall didn't want to fire Dave Haxtell. I hired him. This is my hire, so I'm not just going to get rid of him just because. All right, where does Bryson Stott fall? I'm looking at the top 100 list. Unfortunately, Bryson Stott? I don't know if I can search the 100, but if I search Bryson Stott on this web page, he doesn't even pop up. So I don't know if that's a flaw on the webpage or if he's not even in the top 100 type of conversation here. What is this? What? Let's look at the Phillies. That's my point. Is we look at Bryson Stott because we're excited. That's I'm league wide. Here's your top 30 prospects. He's 3 for the Phillies top prospects 2021. Spencer Howard, Mick Abel, and Bryson Stott. So he's not in the top 100. The only top 100 guy the Phillies have is Mick Abel at 76. So, just to put it in perspective, and thank you so much, Pags, for $10. We are in a spot where we like Bryson Stott. He's not even top 100 in the entire MLB. So, just to, kind of get a different type of eyes on it. Spencer Howard was technically listed as a top prospect before the season began and at 42. And that tells you a lot. Think about that. Spencer Howard at one point entering this season was ranked at 42 as MLB's top prospect. And this is the production that you're getting out of the 42nd top prospect, which I guess maybe shows how much stock you can put into these lists. But yeah, it's crazy. Do I think the Eagles move back up to take a quarterback? No. No, I do not. I think they stay put and they draft at 12. That's just what I think they're going to be doing. The Flyers are going to need to make some change. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. There's going to have to be some major changes involved. I don't know what that means. I've been saying this for a while. If I'm Chuck Fletcher, I'm calling up Seattle and I'm giving them draft picks, even if it's first-round picks, whatever. Take Jake Voracek from us. Now, I'm not going to go overboard and say take anything. Here's everything. But take Jake Voracek from us. Take this contract. He's owed 8.5 or 8.25, whatever it is, 8+ for the next handful of years. We'll give you a first. We'll give you some draft picks. Take Jake Voracek from us. That opens up a lot. It changes someone with the core. Please take Jake Voracek. I think that's where it all starts. It's not going to be easy, though. And I know JVR is another name that has a lot of money tied to his name, but I don't think that's enough of the shakeup of the core. It's something with like Couturier, Giroux, Voracek. It's those three. And it's not Kuti I'm moving on from. It's not G that I'm moving on from. It's Voracek. It's find a way to get rid of Voracek. Well, yeah, his contract's too big, but that's why you sweeten the deal. That's what Vegas did. Vegas would work the phones with other teams. Look, we'll take guys that you're trying to get rid of. You better pay me, though, in return. You better give me some compensation. Imagine being on the other side. I get a player. Here you are starting a franchise. Jake Voracek, you're getting 60 to 70 points a year. Jake Voracek's not a bad player. The contract's heavy for sure, but you're starting a franchise. You have nobody right now. To get an extra, let's say, first-round pick on top of taking a 60 to 70 point guy to start a franchise, it's not the worst thing in the world. But yeah, there's some cap space involved. You just look at it as, all right, we eat the bullet, we eat some pay, but we get a pick in play as well. It's not the worst ever. Yeah, this is interesting, Mike. I do. I think he's a lifer. He's not going to be getting paid the big bucks, which is why when you're this historic, you're talking about third in points. You're talking about longest tenured captain. I think he's going to be back. I think he re-signs with the Flyers, maybe like short deals and a little bit of money, but he's going to stay as your captain. His role might diminish a bit. You might be playing third line or so. He might be more of that guy. Maybe not, though, because of where the organization is. I don't think there's anyone you're just taking him off of the top six. I don't think you have that much talent to just move him from the top six. But maybe he's your second line guy, and his role diminishes, though, as the years progress. But yeah, I think Giroux is going to stay, and that's fine. To think that that's bad, unfortunately, you're going to have irrational, dumb Flyers fans thinking that Claude Giroux is the major problem, just like they think Joe Girardi's the major problem, and that's just not the case. So, unfortunately, that's where we are. I want to trade Chuck Fletcher in the expansion. Why? Why? Why do you want to move on from Chuck Fletcher? What has Chuck Fletcher done that has been so egregious that you're out on Chuck Fletcher to this point? Is it Matt Niskanen not being here? Matt Niskanen retired on you within 5 seconds, and someone had to hit a panic button, realistically, and you go out and take a flyer on Eric Gustafsson, which nobody expected him to step into Matt Niskanen's role by any means. But you thought it would help more. It didn't help. Whatever. That was a bad attempt. You took a flyer on a guy. But you gotta. This is where I disagree. Your veteran defenseman retired on you within seconds, out of nowhere, out of the blue, pulled the plug on playing hockey. To act as if you can just pick up the phone and get a guy that can solidify a top D pairing spot with the snap of your fingers, that's not easy. Teams don't give up your top pairing defenseman. You don't. There's a reason why Matt Niskanen's important. The Capitals had problems when Matt Niskanen left. It's hard to replenish a top D pairing spot. They don't grow on trees. They're not just available out of nowhere. It's hard to acquire them. It's tough to make that phone call. Teams, you know how important they are? I'll tell you how important they are. Look the difference between this year and last year. Teams need them. Teams need those players. You don't just give up on your top D pairing. So when it happened the way that it's different if you knew the contract expired, if you knew Matt Niskanen wasn't going to be there, if there was like an idea heading into the offseason, all right, we don't have Matt Niskanen. What are we going to do? The difference is I'm not playing hockey anymore, and I'm pulling the plug on my career. I'm sorry to do this to you. Go figure it out. Well, there's got to be some reasoning involved. Now, here's the difference. This offseason, you can have that judgment. If they don't fix the D-core for next season, then fine. I'm right there with you. I'm ready to scream. I'm ready to get annoyed. I'm ready to get bothered. If it's now to the point where Chuck Fletcher does nothing with the D-core, then by all means, we can have this conversation again. We can have this conversation again. If Howie messes up bad in the draft, probably, yeah, I think that Howie Roseman's seat is hot. Rob Motti put this out there the other week. It was maybe 1 or 2 weeks ago. He mentioned that Howie Roseman's seat is possibly hotter than some might have anticipated, you know? We always thought that Howie and Jeffrey Lurie were tied to the hip forever. Well, it might be a situation where it's a little hotter than most. Or a little hotter than normal, I should say. Not a little hotter than most. A little hotter than normal. So maybe. The problem is you don't know about these prospects until years down the road. So if it's not J.J. Arthega-Whiteside level, if it's Jalen Reagor, how do you feel? Because that's in the middle. I don't think Jalen Reagor stinks. That's not J.J. Arthega-Whiteside, though. So where does that fall? I mean, I would imagine that that's not good enough if I'm Jeffrey Lurie, but it takes a while to learn about your players. We talk about 3 years, excuse me, until you know what your prospects are, what your draft picks are, and how they develop and grow. So how do you draw that line in 1 year? If they don't work out in 1 year, what does that mean? What does work out mean? Do you expect every draft pick to walk into the league and just be an absolute stud? Well, that's unfair. That's not realistic. So you got to find a balance of, a player that could play, but not J.J. Arthega-Whiteside either. Speaking of J.J. Arthega-Whiteside, here he is. There he is. The man, the myth, the legend. J.J. Arthega-Whiteside. Here he is. The GOAT. The absolute GOAT. Unbelievable. Isn't it crazy? Isn't that crazy? How about Glenn? We haven't talked about Glenn today. If we're thinking about our Philadelphia Phillies. But Glenn doesn't need to be talked about today with the weather. I think we'll be all right. No, I did not see Reagor's Instagram. Apparently, he turned his bio to bust and changed it to I'm taking. I think he's too focused on that, to be honest. I'm okay with getting motivated, right? Like, I'm okay with being motivated by the haters and whatnot. I do think that he's taking it to an extreme. You know what I mean? He's taking it to this extreme of, it's like I'm too obsessed with it. I'm too emotionally tied to it. I'm too aggressive with it. Relax, dude. Just go play ball, right? Stop it. Stop being too aggressive. Just go play ball. He takes it to this extreme level of that's all he's worried about. I'm only worried about the haters. I'm only worried about what people are saying about me on social media. Put it behind you, dude. Just go play. Stop focusing on what I say, what you say, what Twitter says. Just go play, man. Just go play. Leading off with Brodes tonight. I don't know. I'll keep you updated. And I also want to bring that up because somebody mentioned a Twitch stream today. That's also up in the air. What you need to do is follow me on Twitter at Brodes81. And that's where I will release my information for the rest of the day today. So I'm not sure about what we're doing with the Twitch stream. I'm not sure about what we're doing with leading off with Brodes yet today because I might go toss the line out. I might go fishing at the local little how do you do and toss the line out for a little bit. That doesn't mean I can't hop on a live stream to play some MLB The Show after that because I plan on doing it. But yeah, so I don't know what I'm gonna do. I got a couple meetings. I gotta maneuver my day. It's Monday's normally my day where I sit down and look at the schedule for the week and then establish my week. Even though I probably should do that Sunday, and then so Monday I'm ready to rock. But Monday's normally my establish the weekday. So that's kind of when I get everything under control and everything all ready to go. Jefferson would have sucked. I don't know if Jefferson would have flat out sucked, but I do think that there is truth to you probably wouldn't have seen the same Justin Jefferson in an Eagles uniform, considering the way that Carson Wentz played, considering Doug Peterson's offense, considering the offensive line, considering the scheme, considering everything. That's where I think that, yeah, it's fair to probably question what you would have gotten out of Justin Jefferson here in Philadelphia. There's no way he would have put on the same exact thing. The show stream while fishing. I don't think that's possible, Evan. I wish it could be, but unfortunately, I don't think that that's possible. All right, so with some closing remarks here, I just want to say thank everybody for hanging out on this Monday with me. It's always fantastic to start Mondays with everybody here with a nice cup of Joe and talking some sports and kind of recapping what happened. So UFC 261 clearly tickled my fancy, and the Phillies did not. That's for damn sure. The Phillies were brutal to watch. Make sure you go over to my Twitter at Brodes81 and check out my giveaway that is available. We're giving away a beautiful. I want to see if I can upload it. Maybe I can upload it on the screen if I can. I don't know what I named it. So why don't I name it something that I can see? Okay, this is the one. I'll name it GA for giveaway. Let's see if it can pop up on my stream quicker. It might be a weird file. So it might not work, but we'll give it a shot. Aha, here it is. So we are giving away a 76ers pullover right now on my Twitter page. It's beautiful. Every Wednesday we select that winner. So make sure you go check out at Brodes81 on Twitter. It's pinned to the top of my profile. Retweet that. Toss the account some follows. And that is how you are going to be available for the win. Every Wednesday we choose a winner. That winner will be direct message. So make sure you get involved there. Thank you guys so much for hanging out, and I will talk to you guys tonight when we have Sixers and the Thunder, and we have the Phillies and the Cardinals.